Alright folks, we have come back. Let's start the final case in Sinner's End. Thanks to Silvia, Vivian, and Daniela. And I'm getting better, guys. Slayer's End.
Business on the table and walking away solves nothing. It is my hope that our state leaders will have the courage to continue the discussion and not adjourn prematurely.
Matthew, we have a fugitive on our hands. Fiona Flanagan escaped from custody. We thought arresting the notorious gang leader for murder was our final victory, but Fiona, the Scarlet Slayer, had one more surprise for us. And now the mayor will have my head for letting a serial murderer escape her punishment. Matthew must promptly recapture Fiona. We've made progress with the hunt, Chief. Matthew found proof that Fiona is hiding in an opium den called the Black Bloom of Dreams. We're ready to head there.
The 2018 city budget. Well, they say it's giving us more money.
Be on your guard, Matthew. Fiona's a madwoman who's had blood on her hands since she was a child. Worry not, Chief. Matthew and I shall storm that opium den and come back with Fiona in handcuffs if it's the last thing we do.
So we face a huge gap in our budget that you're working hard to try to close.
How to make up that $67 million deficit, the mayor says the city would have to increase property taxes and fees and consider cutting the workers' benefits. Although the city council meets next Wednesday, 2018 budget needs to be finalized by June 15th. They're either maintaining or preparing a site for another nuclear test.
Next on KITV Island News at 10, what new evidence suggests North Korea is moving towards continuing?
Okay.
Our Brandy Higa making her way to Columbus, Ohio for the NCAA tournament. Mike Cherry joined us live from the newsroom.
There she is.
Robert, in just a little bit, should be on Ohio time. Same as the Warrior volleyball team was less than 24 hours away from the biggest test of the season. We'll preview their NCAA semifinal match with #1 Ohio State coming up later in sports.
And will the Senate vote tomorrow to force out the head of the powerful Ways and Means Committee? We'll be right back.
There's her body.
Spectrum Business, the best value for business, internet, voice, and TV in Hawaii.
This is more than internet access. It's a done deal. It's a happy customer. It's what powers your business. And since Oceanic Time Warner Cable Business Class is now Spectrum Business, you can get faster internet.
My word! Matthew, we found her. There's Fiona lying on that divan, only she's dead. Well, the chief need not worry himself about her escape anymore. There's only one place for her to go now. Dick's autopsy table. He'll have to ascertain the cause of death. I must admit I didn't see this coming. Fiona clearly had a master plan to escape. So what wrong with her scheme? Was she double-crossed by a friend or ambushed by one of her many foes? That knife clearly belonged to the victim. It bears her sign. Did Fiona try to defend herself? You're right, the red stain on the knife is bound to be enlightening. It doesn't look quite like blood, but collecting a sample will tell us more. And what we also need is a witness to the crime, but it looks like all the opium fiends scurried away when they heard us coming. Sharp eye, Matthew. That green cushion's littered with wooden shards. Gathering a sample may help us track down a witness. Matthew, we must find out who slew the Scarlet Slayer and dared to take down the feared gang leader. And I'll start the autopsy right now, and I need to get some stars, so sit tight, everybody. And I got 9 stars. Let's examine the silk cushion.
Shutout and an 8-zip win. 2 other games on the D1 level. Kamehameha Kapalama just got by Roosevelt 2-1. Pearl City, no problem handling double 6.
Got it.
To the NBA. Don't call it a
Got 9.
Spurs bounce back from the whooping by the Rockets.
Matthew, now that we've collected those wood shavings from the cushion, it's time to look at them under the microscope. With luck, they will lead us to a witness.
121-96. Tony Parker, though, was carried off the floor late in the fourth with a knee injury. No word yet on how serious of an injury it is. Finally, to Cleveland.
Cavs head coach Jerome Lou says.
And I'm gonna put case 24 in.
Yeah, that's right. The gig that comes with having LeBron James doing stuff like that. He's pretty good. He scored 39. Passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for second
All right.
in playoff points. Cavs
Wood shavings.
125 to 103. LeBron now 19-0 in playoffs when leading the series 2 games to none.
Jerome is a good coach.
Yeah.
Try coaching without LeBron.
Yeah.
2.
And then tell us how hard your job
Ask the
is.
Knicks coach how it is. Ask the Lakers coach how it is.
Ask any other coach what's it like to coach a team without LeBron.
You've been right there.
Yeah.
There's 3.
Some of the world's most talented athletes are
3.
coming to Hawaii to participate
4 of them.
in the epic 5 triathlon.
Wixon CC pencil.
It is epic. It's comprised of 5 Ironman.
Matthew, those wooden shards on the cushion in the opium den are pencil shavings. More precisely, they're from a specific brand of pencil called Wixon CC. Our case files confirm that we've examined similar samples before. This type of pencil with its specific red coating was a piece of evidence in a previous case. Oh yeah, breaking the glass ceiling. And the microscope also revealed lipstick marks on some pieces. Now who do we know who carries a red pencil and runs around dressed to the nines? That's right, Catherine Wolf, the reporter. And if she left her pencil shavings on that cushion, she must have gone to our crime scene. Let's head to the Gazette's offices, Matthew. Time to interview our favorite journalist, I say.
You have to be out of your mind. Yeah, that is unbelievable. There is no need for speed.
Still ahead on KITV Island News at 10 tonight. Whitey's cake.
About our presence at the crime scene.
Heat, surf, all heading.
Senior Trooper Matthew, I was just about to call you. I've had a frightful experience. It wouldn't have to do with Fiona Flanagan's murder at the opium den, would it? We know you were there. I was only there to work on a new article about opium consumption and violent crime in Concordia. And my word, did I get more than I bargained for. All of a sudden, that woman storms in wearing her prisoner's uniform, shouting like a maniac. I hid behind a Chinese screen, praying she didn't see me. You know I live for a good story, Senior Trooper Matthew, but I'm not prepared to die for one. Suddenly, I heard shouting, then a struggle. Then it all went eerily quiet. The killer must have escaped before I came out of my hiding place. Well, we're glad you didn't come to any harm, Miss Wolf. And if you remember anything else, we're counting on you to let us know. Actually, there is something. I went digging around recently and found the location of the Flanagan gang's headquarters. Might be handy for your investigation, Senior Trooper Matthew. You found their office? Perfect. In light of the murder, we could easily get a search warrant. Let's go.
It's time to make a change. There's no one more trusted than Design Trends. Working with you vision to life using state-of-the-art technology to transform.
And we'll go there first.
into a workable.
We'll go there, but first, I need to do this.
Exactly what I want. Being able to be inspired. Seeing a project at the end.
I need to get the sample from the knife.
That's really
Probably should have done this first, but that's alright.
Construction for whatever inspires you.
Our entire lower floor was almost 2 feet underwater. After 18 hours bailing out, my wife
Red
was
substance.
"We need
Matthew, let's send that red substance from Fiona's night to Viola. She'll know if it can lead us to the Scarlet Slayer's killer.
and to know that there was somebody there that was looking out after us. I thank them every time I see them for what they did for me.
Our work can only be possible by people like you. Register to be a Red Cross volunteer today.
Join Elmo, Cookie Monster, Abby Cadabby, Big Bird, and all
Of course, I could get all 15 stars, but almost all the time I choose not to.
cookie jars to spoons and so much more. It's Sesame Street Live. Elmo makes music.
Okay, let's give this a try.
Stomp your feet to a Sesame Street beat. Don't miss Sesame Street Live.
So a little bit of a lingering town swell today. Let's take you out to Key Largo. James sent this island pick in.
All right.
Nice shot there. Some nice rideable waves. Point Panic also looking good as well. Waves down a bit for tomorrow. South Shore coming in 2 to 4 from east, but Look at North Shore's got a north-northwest swell moving in, 6 to 8 expected on the North Shore. West Shore 4 to 6. An even bigger swell though, late Saturday to Sunday. I think it's Sunday we could see an advisory.
There we go.
Potentially for the North and West Shores. Again, we're out of season now, so we're well into May. Don't usually have a whole lot of swells moving to the North Shore, but they kind of keep coming. Maybe not as big as they were a few months ago, but
Of course, I am close to the end of my semester. So this is the Irish Gang's headquarters. After chasing the Flanagans for so long, we're now standing in their office. Finley's made himself scarce, but we're sure to find something interesting in that locked chest. Matthew, can you handle the lock on the... Oi, coppers! Take your grubby hands off me stuff before I kick and boot you. Good day to you too, Mr. Flanagan. Lucky you should be here. We've been wanting a word with you. Nay, luck has naught to do with it. What do you think I'll let you pigs come in here? 'Cause I'm the one wanting a word with you. Just sit tight, Finley, until Senior Trooper Matthew inspects your property.
Down through Puna, but most spots relatively dry. 86, hot, humid, and hazy for Kona for your Thursday, starting out around 74. We'll see our trade winds coming in 10 to 20
Let's
miles per
get
hour. So
this
the good news is
chest
the trade
out
winds
of
picking
the
up
way.
a bit. 87, our high temperature. We stay dry, we stay nice through the weekend. Our next really best chance of any significant rain comes Monday and Tuesday. Even then, it's looking
There we go.
Not looking very promising for any heavy rain, so just a couple scattered showers possible early next week. But after the weird weather we saw this past weekend, the wet weather, we're kind of calming down and making for a nice rest of the week, I think.
7, 2...
It's a little hot though, yeah. Record temperatures today and pretty warm tomorrow as well.
72897.
It's a lot of hot.
It's a lot hot. Okay. You got me.
I still want that cold weather from the weekend.
Matthew, let's see what the Flanagans keep in that chest. Quick, sharp.
You guys are never happy.
No mercy.
I can do to
You're
make
watching,
them happy.
you're watching KITV Island News at 10.
We want cold weather, don't we?
Or at least
9.
100% original,
A whip.
100% local.
Matthew, there's a name on that whip you found in the Flanagan's chest. Adriana. And you're saying you know an Adriana Brazier? A girl who used to work in Madame Zhang's Dove Den? We know most of Madame Zhang's girls have found new employment in the Moulin Rose. But it doesn't explain what Adriana was doing in the boss's office. We must find out if this girl stuck her nose into something she shouldn't have. Okay.
Welcome to the Moana
And
Terrace at the Waikiki Beach Marriott Resort and Spa. We are open daily. Join us for happy hour. 4 to
personally, I'm going to be pretty surprised if the killer is actually
Come experience our Aki
Catherine Wolf, because I don't think she did it. Miss Brazier, we found your whip in the Flanagan's headquarters. Can you explain what you were doing there? Oh, Mr. Flanagan wanted to see me for the annual performance review. He's a hands-on employer. Thanks for returning my whip, Senior Trooper Matthew. I heard you're investigating Fiona Flanagan's murder. I don't know why you'd bother when everyone in Sinner's End is better off without the Scarlet Slayer. The news of her demise certainly travels fast. Are you surprised? Ever since the first girl disappeared, the rest of us have lived in fear, wondering who was getting her guts spilled next. But the nightmare is over. We'll all dance on that woman's grave tonight.
Hectic days, that's the price.
We sympathize with your feelings, Adriana, but celebrating a murder is a little too gleeful. Let's hope it won't end in tears.
No matter how hot it gets, Mitsubishi split ACs are quiet, effective, and
third one.
energy efficient. Turn
Okay.
on remotely and return home to a cool oasis of comfort. Call your Mitsubishi Diamond contractor today.
And now let's see what Finley has to say. Senior Trooper Matthew, when I told you to clean up the mess with Gladys's murder, I didn't mean arrest my sister and get her killed. We won't apologize for arresting someone who murdered dozens of women, and Fiona wouldn't have been killed if the gang hadn't broken her out of jail. You think it was my doing? Why, give a dog a bad name and hang him. Nah, a little stint in the clink never did a Flanagan any harm. So you expect us to believe you played no part in your sister's escape from jail? I'm telling you I didn't, but my patience is running out. I take umbrage with some ratbag killing my sister on my turf. Find them before I do, Senior Trooper Matthew, or I'll show you what Mad Dog's like when you're yanking his chain. You've made similar threats before, Mr. Flanagan, but you've yet to catch a killer faster than Senior Trooper Matthew. That's true. And he's going to fail this one, too. I'll let these two run their courses, so for now, this is Matthew. See you then. Currently under our limited energy happy hour. So let me go ahead and speed up the autopsy. Sinner's End never ceases to... Sinner's End never ceases to regale us with wicked surprises, Matthew. Only yesterday, Fiona Flanagan was terrorizing people as a gang leader by day, Scarlet Slayer by night. And now she's met her match in an equally vicious killer. Tell us, Dick, what have you found? A textbook case of asphyxia brought about by ligature strangulation. Look for a quarter rope as your murder weapon, Matthew. Victims of strangulation always fight their attackers literally to the last breath, so I checked Fiona's hands for evidence of a struggle against the killer. Under her fingernails, I found a chemical compound Viola identified as an ingredient of a fashionable cosmetic, a hand cream known as Lavender Lust. Excuse me. Lavender Lust? Oh, I know. It's the fragrance du jour. According to my mother, it's a whole brand of soaps, perfumes, and pomades. Well, there was no trace of the compound anywhere else on Fiona's hands or body. Therefore, the cream could only have come from her attacker. Our killer's got a flair for cold-blooded murder and soothing hand cream in equal measure. It would be amusing if it weren't so chilling, Matthew. Gonna be taking a little bit of a beating here for the cash, but that's okay. I can always get some more. Villains, vipers, damned without redemption. A fitting quote for this investigation, Viola. But what can you tell us about that red substance Matthew found on Fiona's knife? Well, I found minuscule traces of the victim's blood mixed in with your sample. Evidently, the killer wrestled the Scarlet Slayer's own knife from her in their struggle. Most of the substance, I really wish it would stop doing this, but I don't know how. Most of the substance, however, wasn't blood, but spaghetti sauce. The red color came from the diced tomatoes. Now, Dick confirmed the victim's stomach was empty. She hadn't eaten anything for hours before the murder, which means a trace of spaghetti sauce on the knife could only have come from the killer. So our killer eats spaghetti. My favorite food. The mundane details should not delude us, Matthew. We're up against a killer who outplayed a serial murderer. Matthew, Fiona Flanagan was one of the most notorious figures of Sinner's End. Gang leader, alcohol smuggler, ruthless businesswoman. All of which pales in comparison to the murder spree of her darker self, the Scarlet Slayer. When she escaped detention before her trial, we knew she was still a force to be reckoned with. All the more surprising to find her murdered in an opium den hours later. We didn't get much from the other Flanagan sibling, aside from threats. Meanwhile, a prostitute reckoned the Scarlet Slayer's murder wasn't worth the police's time. Then Catherine Wolfe, the journalist... Matthew, come quick, something's happened. Constable Ramirez is out on patrol near the old railway, and he found something you'll want to see. Hello? We'll find out what that is in Chapter 2. See y'all then. Okay, folks, we have come back. Let's start Chapter 2 of Slayer's End. Matthew, Fiona Flanagan was one of the most notorious figures of Sinner's End. Gang leader, alcohol smuggler, ruthless businesswoman. All of which pales in comparison to the murder spree of her darker self, the Scarlet Slayer. When she escaped detention before her trial, we knew she was still a force to be reckoned with. All the more surprising to find her murdered in an opium den hours later. Matthew, come quick, something's happened. Constable Ramirez is out on patrol near the old railway and he found something you'll want to see. What is it, Constable? Tell us. I stumbled upon an abandoned train car, Matthew, and I'm quite sure it was the Scarlet Slayer's hideout. I didn't dare look around, but you'll know what I mean when you see it. You discovered the Scarlet Slayer's hideout? I'll start the Manmobile, Matthew. Let's go. Here we are. A map of Sinner's End. Wow, I barely made that one. Did you see those pictures on the wall, Matthew? There's Gladys, Caitlin, and all the other victims of the Scarlet Slayer. And the stench. This place is worse than a pigsty. All the dirt, the rotten food. Ugh. This is definitely the lair of a deranged maniac. Fiona must have been crazier than we thought if she burrowed herself here, but then you'd have to be mad to kill dozens of prostitutes to liberate them. You think sifting through the Scarlet Slayer's filthy possessions might lead us to her killer? Or at least tell us who else knew about her hideout? Alright, let's start with looking inside that barrel. It's still smoldering, as if someone had tried to burn evidence. Sharp eye, Matthew. That map is of Sinner's End, and someone marked the location of this hideout with an X. Let's recover the faded writing to see who it was. And we should put those broken pieces back together, too. But let's make it quick, Matthew. This place makes my hair stand on end. But I have a hectic week next week with final exams and also my grandma's funeral on Wednesday. But by the time that this thing is posted, those would have been long over. Property of Catherine Wolfe. Matthew, that map marking the Scarlet Slayer's lair belongs to Catherine Wolfe. But if Catherine knew about this hideout, why didn't she tell us? It was Catherine who first told us about the missing girls, and she's always seemed keen to help. But did we perhaps put too much trust in her? You're right, Matthew. The Scarlet Slayer took her secrets to the grave, but we can still grill Catherine about hers. Miss Wolf, it's time to be honest with us. How long have you known about this Scarlet Slayer's lair? It wasn't long ago that I discovered it. I was just doing my job, Senior Trooper Matthew. Are you asking me why I didn't do yours as well? I have my boundaries when it comes to sharing. You can have my spaghetti recipe if you wish, but my lavender lush cream is off limits, just like my research. We thought we were on the same side. You seemed keen to expose the Scarlet Slayer. Of course, the Scarlet Slayer is only known because of me. I gave her a name. By telling her story, I turned a shapeless rumor into the first documented case of a serial murderer. The Scarlet Slayer is mine, Senior Trooper Matthew. I'm the one who created her legend. You should have known I'd see it through all the way to the last chapter. Your legend was a murderer who belonged behind bars, and that's where you're going too if your arrogance led you to destroy your creation. Wow. A heart. Matthew, what in heavens is that gruesome object you've restored? It looks like a human heart, but made of copper. Wait, are you saying you've seen a similar artifact before? A death threat used back in Elysium Fields? Oh, I remember Rose showing it to me. She said the Italians called it the kiss of death. Well, this threat was clearly meant for our victim, and the Italian mob getting mixed up in another murder is hardly a surprise. You're right, Matthew. We better take this up directly with the mob's boss, Vittorio Capesci. About the kiss of death sent to the victim. Ispettore, Matthew. Long time no see. I thought you retired like Judge Takakura. You and your cronies will keep us in business for years to come, Mr. Capesci. I'm sure you know Fiona Flanagan's dead. The Italians must be celebrating. But this kiss of death we found among the victim's possessions makes us wonder if your famiglia had a hand in her murder. No. I do no such ugly thing. The Irish are trying to pin the murders of those ragazze on us, so I encouraged my men to sniff around and find the real culprit. But to my knowledge, they never found them. I understand you arrested Miss Flanagan for these crimes. It's hardly my fault she escaped and got herself killed. And until you can prove that I had anything to do with her death, please do not ruin this magnificent day with your accusations, Ispettore, Matthew. Ispettore, Matthew. I guess after the sin. I guess that was a period. I don't know, I missed that. Oh, silk cord. Matthew, that silk cord you found in the barrel looks like a curtain string from the opium den. At least I don't see any silk curtains around here. You're right. This cord must be what the killer used to strangle the victim. Which means the killer came here after the murder and tried to burn the evidence. Now that you salvaged it from the fire, we better give it to Viola. Now this one I won't be speeding up at all. 12 hours. See you guys when this is done. Okay, folks, I've come back, and let's get the results of the curtain string. Matthew, I had the devil's own job with this cord you found smoldering in the Scarlet Slayer's lair. There were some skin cells from the victim on the cord, but unfortunately, the subsequent attempt to burn it destroyed any traces of the killer. So the killer managed to destroy the evidence. We have nothing to go on? That's what I thought, until I discovered what the killer used to set the court on fire. A special oil used in opium lamps. This special oil burns at the exact temperature at which opium is vaporized, allowing the vapor to be inhaled. To have thought of using this oil as an accelerant, the killer must be a habitual opium smoker. So now we know Fiona's killer smokes opium. If they ever thought they'd get away with the murder, it was but a pipe dream. Now, what shall we do next, Matthew? We searched Fiona's secret hideout. Perhaps it's time to have a fresh look at her other place, the gang's headquarters. Aha! Matthew, it's hard to believe Fiona had two such different personalities, eating garbage in her dirty hideout half the time, then giving orders and running a business from here. Speaking of business, I'll be dashed if it isn't whiskey in those glasses. We know it was Fiona's job to keep the booze flowing in Concordia despite the prohibition, but this looks like someone enjoyed a private drink here with the Flanagans. I'll let you dust those glasses for fingerprints, Matthew, or I'll be tempted to gulp down that last sip. And that photograph shows Fiona with another woman. They seem close. But I don't recognize the other woman. Let's see if we can have anything on her in our archives. If we have anything on her in our archives. Matthew, Fiona clearly had many secrets. We have to dig deeper into them to solve her murder. Oh no. Oh my goodness. Celia Barnes, dead. Matthew, the woman in Fiona's picture is, or rather was, a certain Celia Barnes. It says here she's dead. The death certificate in our archives issued by Dr. Barnaby Wilson says that Miss Barnes died of syphilis at the age of 21, having worked as a prostitute for years. Well, it's unfortunate we can't ask Miss Barnes about her relationship with Fiona. Smart idea, Matthew. If Celia worked as a prostitute, Adriana might have known her. This could still turn into a useful lead. Let's go. Moment, everyone. Let's see what she has to say. Adriana, we asked some questions about a certain Celia Barnes. It appears she was a girl of your profession and close to Fiona. Close? As if anyone anyone want to be close to the Viper without a healthy dose of opium for courage. I know that was my strategy. But truth be told, Fiona did seem fond of Celia, took her under her wing and all. Lord knows what stirred in that wicked soul of hers, but she was kind to her, like. When Celia got poorly, Fiona paid for the doctor to come and stayed at her bedside until she died. And after the funeral, Fiona disappeared. Even Mr. Finley didn't know where she'd gone. When she came back, she was changed, more quiet than before. We didn't know it then, but that's when Fiona started murdering them girls, didn't she, Senior Trooper Matthew? It's certainly a new piece of the puzzle, Adriana. Perhaps the grief for her friend broke Fiona's mind, but how does it tie in with her murder? I told you, Senior Trooper Matthew, don't waste your time looking for her killer. They liberated Sinner's End from a nightmare. Matthew, there seems to be different sets of fingerprints on these glasses, but I'm sure Evie can identify whoever enjoyed that whiskey here in the Flanagan headquarters. Alright. And that'll do. Is this going to be 9 hours? No, it's going to be 12. Alright, I'll get the results tomorrow. And for now, this is Matthew. See you then. Come back, let's get the results of the fingerprints. Matthew, one set of fingerprints on these glasses belongs to Fiona, but the other set I can't quite explain. Dash it, Evie. If you don't know who clinked glasses with Fiona, I'm going to need a drink myself. Prohibition be damned. I didn't say I didn't know, just that I couldn't explain it. Matthew, the other set of prints is Justin Lawson's. Justin Lawson? Surely not. He wouldn't fraternize with gangsters. The prints belong to him without a doubt. I'm sure Mr. Lawson has an explanation. Matthew, we must see him at once. Oh goodness, I hope that our killer is not Justin Lawson, although I don't think so.
Allergies with nasal congestion? Find fast relief behind the counter with Claritin D. Struck past that eye for the allergy
About drinking with the victim.
30 minutes and contains the best oral decongestant. Live Claritin.
Senior Trooper Matthew, good to see you. I was just going for some spaghetti. Care to join me? Judge Lawson, we're here on police business. You must be aware of Fiona Flanagan's murder investigation. It has come to light that you had a drink with her. Senior Trooper Matthew, I'm guilty as charged. I shan't deny I had a private word with Miss Flanagan, but it wasn't as you think. Miss Flanagan had her goons take me to her office. She said she wanted to see what the new judge was made of, apart from Lavender Lust products. Of course, I told her I wanted no part in any shady deals she might have wanted to push on me. A judge does not negotiate with gangsters. But I admit I still thought it more prudent to drink the whiskey she poured for me. She was insistent. You should have informed the police of this incident immediately, Judge Lawson. Then you wouldn't be involved in a murder investigation.
I just helped you dodge a bullet. But I was just... Don't you know that checking your credit score lowers? Just be cool. Actually, checking your credit
Matthew,
score...
Fiona Flanagan's dead, but it seems like she still has the power to take people down with her.
I guess I could just check my credit score then.
The list of suspects in her murder extends from the Italian mob leader all the way up to the city judge.
Give yourself some credit.
Adriana reveals some interesting details about the Scarlet Slayer's friendship with the prostitute, but the link with the murder remains unclear. We desperately need fresh leads, Matthew, but... Matthew, I ran as fast as I could to tell you. A gunfight broke out near the Moulin Roads. It's Vittorio and Finley. They're going to kill each other. Uh-oh.
Mating?
Sex. Instinct. All the better.
We'll have to stop that brawl in Chapter 3. Alright folks, we have returned. Let's start Chapter 3 of Slayer's End. Final case in Sinner's End.
Saturday at 10:30 a.m. on USA.
Matthew, it's not every day that we investigate the murder of a gang leader and a serial murderer. Fiona managed to escape custody, but then someone strangled her in the opium den. We have a list of suspects, so we need fresh leads if... Matthew, a gunfight broke out near the Moulin Rose. A gunfight?
I heard something behind me.
It's Vittorio and Finley. They're going to kill each other. No, they aren't. Not on our watch. Matthew, we must go and stop them. Let's go.
My chest was burned. Where I put the word traitor now. Any idea?
Prepare to meet the devil in hell, Finley.
I've never betrayed anyone.
Not before I've blown that stupid grin off your face. Both of you, drop your weapons. Senior Trooper Matthew, get out of the way. I told you what had happened when I found the puss face that killed me sister. Senior Trooper Matthew, that's a lie. Finley's just trying to frame me. I know it was you. Who else would dare mess with the Flanagans?
A client, a business rival.
Enough. You're both just trying to create a distract.
Okay, outside of work. Well, just trying to find a possible motive.
Uh-oh. Senior Trooper Matthew, I can't believe this rascal shot me. I'm dying. You shot me first. You're both under arrest. I'll have you escorted to the police infirmary, and if you're rude to the nurses, I'll hear about it. Now, Senior Trooper Matthew and I have a murder to solve. Matthew, it looks like Finley's finally made good on his threats to take justice into his own hands. Not that he needs an excuse to shoot Capesci. But you're right. This little sideshow shan't throw us off the killer's trail. Let's go back to Fiona's hideout and see what we find.
Common friends, they attend different churches, clubs.
Mark broke into their homes, drugged them with ketamine, then penetrated them with foreign objects. He targeted them.
You're assuming that the perpetrator isn't delusional. Something about the victims could have set him off.
He branded them with ruiner, traitor. This is about revenge.
I'm just not buying this as a coincidence. There has to be a
Yep,
connection.
I have my cat
If
equipped.
Mr. Ramos and Mr. Dixon victimize their attacker together, they're not going to cop to knowing each other. But at some point, they may feel the need to reach out to one another.
You saying that we should tail the victims?
That's about all you can do.
Well, Ramos and Dixon have seen us.
They haven't seen Finn.
Smile, dirtbags.
Ramos went straight from here to Gammon Imports on 68th and Park. Bill Dixon was already there.
Who's the guy they're dumping on?
John Rat.
That's importer himself, Alexander
The second that Ramos leaves us, he meets Dixon, who he swears he's never seen before in his
Past
life.
Ace.
And this guy Gammon.
Boy, Dixon seems especially upset here.
and scared.
Anybody make out what he's saying?
Well, Gammon's
Matthew, that document has a photo of Fiona in a straitjacket. Look at her crazed, bloodshot eyes. You're right, it is an admission form to a lunatic asylum. Not that we needed more proof that Fiona was insane, but we should recover the rest of the writing all the same. And I agree, we should piece that broken jewelry back together, and open that rusty safe too. We need to solve Fiona's murder, Matthew. Only then can we wash all the blood off the streets of Sinner's End.
Victor and I were having a business discussion. Confidential?
Trust is the lubricant that keeps the wheels of commerce turning. I have to protect the privacy of the people I do business with.
What kind of business?
I'm not a detective.
This is a police investigation. We'll keep it on the down.
Bill's company makes high-end belts. I give them as Christmas gifts to my clients. Mr. Raymond.
Aha.
Office in Puerto Rico. Victor speaks fluent
Admission
Spanish.
details.
Accounting work.
Matthew, this document confirms Fiona was criminally insane and a danger to the public.
Belt salesman and a number cruncher?
But you're right, the note at the bottom says Fiona was released from the asylum on Finley's demand.
How long have you worked with them?
10 years.
Matthew, this means Finley was fully aware of Fiona's madness. What if he also discovered his sister was the Scarlet Slayer? I don't suppose he took kindly to Fiona killing the girls in his brothels. Matthew, if Finley thought getting shot was painful, the grilling he's going to get now will certainly make him sweat.
Someone wants to brand me? I say give it a shot. And yes, I have a permit. Now,
I believe it's 2. How he knew about his sister's actions?
Only part about the lubricant. I just kind of wish he had some for his attack.
Senior Trooper Matthew, I'm not in the spirit for receiving visitors. My arm's aching, and the nurses won't give me any opium.
It's about to get housed.
At least we get to enjoy your wit in its full splendor. Tell us, did you figure out that your sister's criminal insanity culminated in her becoming the Scarlet Slayer? Of course I figured it out. I ain't dumb, and she's me own sister, innit? Well, you could have fooled us with all the yelling and threats to find the Scarlet Slayer before you did. And you seemed pretty angry that they were undermining your business by killing your girls. Senior Trooper Matthew, if you think I'd bump off my own sister for killing a couple of harlots, then you still don't understand the Flanagan way. Anyway, you've seen her. Fiona had as much sense as you and me. Ran the business all right. Never forgot to get me lavender lust for me birthday. So what if she went barmy from time to time? It's that Capesci that did her in. I'm telling you, he's a dead man, Senior Trooper Matthew. Rusty Sail. Or Rusty Safe, I should say. And let's see. M5H. OSH7. Oh, and I just got the 9 in time. Why, the only thing in this rusty safe is a pair of bracelets. There are 2 names engraved on them. Bart McCullen and Tommy Fletcher. Neither of these names ring a bell. Matthew, neither of these names ring a bell, Matthew. But you're right. If they're connected with Fiona in any way, Evie will know about it.
For sodomy and assault with a deadly weapon. Nothing to say, huh? Nothing? No denial, no explanation? Well, you do have the right to remain silent. Still, I did a little digging. Camille, your mom died in a car accident when you were 5. Your dad remanded to Bellevue for schizophrenia. You bounced around to 6 foster families and piled up multiple arrests for drug use and delinquency.
Aha!
All in all, it's a pretty good resume.
Matthew, that monogram on the brooch you restored seems familiar. You're right, they're Vittorio Capesci's initials. He's got a taste for gaudy jewelry, but what's his brooch doing in the Scarlet Slayer's hideout? For all he protests his innocence, Vittorio's definitely mixed up in this. Let's see how he's recovering in the infirmary, Matthew.
Is matched only by her aggressive hatred of authority figures.
See what he has to say about it. Senior Trooper Matthew, if you hear about the fight, I'll have you know that Finley started it. He ambushed me in my favorite pizza joint. Who knew that Irish rascal liked spaghetti as much as I do? We're not here about the fight, the gunfight, Mr. Capesci. We want you to explain how your brooch found its way to Fiona Flanagan. That brooch? Mamma mia, I haven't seen that in over 20 years. I didn't think Fiona kept it. You mean you gave that brooch to Fiona 20 years ago? Fiona used to be a bella ragazza, Senior Trooper Matthew. I had my sights set on her for a time. That was before I married Signora Capesci, you understand? You were courting Fiona, an Irish girl from a rival gang? The Irish weren't our rivals back then, Senior Trooper Matthew, but Fiona had a devilish temper, and Mama didn't like her, so we parted ways. Interesting. Was your failed romance the reason for the bad blood between your families? The old resentment that finally led you to kill her? No. Why would I kill Fiona now after so many years? That's just what Finley wants you to believe, Senior Trooper Matthew, but I'm innocente. Kind of figured that he would eat spaghetti. Flanagan, I didn't think so.
And defenseless by joining the ASPCA today.
But we'll let the...
Please go online or call this number to help them now.
But in the meantime, I'll let the bracelets run its course. So for now, it's Matthew. See you then. Okay, folks, we have come back. Let's get the results of the bracelet. Matthew, you keep sending me things that lead to unsettling discoveries, rather. We're looking for the Scarlet Slayer's killer, Evie. Unsettling is the order of the day. Just tell us what you found out about those bracelets in Fiona's safe. Well, according to our archives, Bart McMullen and Tommy Fletcher are members of the Flanagan gang. Both of them are in prison now, serving a sentence for murder. So it's a dead end then? These men couldn't have killed Fiona if they're in prison. No, but wait until you hear what they're in prison for, Matthew. The pair was convicted for the murder of Abigail Baines. Abigail Baines? Matthew, was that Justin Lawson's fiancée, killed a day before their wedding? Of course, Mr. Lawson still carries the obituary in his wallet, and he said it was a mockery of justice that the killers got such short sentences. It's clear that Mr. Lawson's never gotten over that tragedy, Matthew. You think he could have somehow uncovered the connection between Fiona and Abigail's killer? There's only one way to find out. We must talk to Mr. Lawson.
See that? That's teamwork. Like cookies and brownies coming together to form Brookies, and this Guardian's awesome mix.
Bride's killer.
Jan, that's enough. Star-Lord's clean.
Senior Trooper Matthew, you require my testimony again? Please ask me any questions you want. I apologize for bringing up a painful personal matter, Mr. Lawson, but we must ask, were you aware that your fiancé's killers were members of the Flanagan gang? What? Abigail? What does she have to do with all this? We found evidence that the two men who attacked and killed her were affiliated with Fiona. Admit it, Mr. Lawson. Is that why you had a meeting with Fiona in her office? To find out if she had a hand in your fiancé's murder? Absolutely not, Senior Trooper Matthew. This is the first I've heard about this. And I don't wish to hear about it any further. All I want is to cherish Abigail's memory without the sordid details of her death hanging over it. I've even tried smoking opium to forget it. Please, Senior Trooper Matthew, just solve this murder so we can all put the past behind us. Oh, he's now in the running. I hope that he's not the one. Matthew, Matthew sees Fiona's secrets cast long shadows. Her old romance with Vittorio Capesci has come to light. And you've also uncovered a disturbing link between Fiona's gang and the murder of Judge Lawson's fiancée. But... Matthew, have you read the Evening Gazette? There's an article in it by Catherine Wolfe. Good Lord, she better not be leaking details about the murder investigation. No, it's about smoking opium. Catherine tried it herself and wrote about her experience. She makes it sound rather fascinating. Viola's warned me against it, but... Evie, the last thing we need is you running off to some opium den with your new best friend. But you're right, Matthew. We ought to go back to the opium den and find the missing piece of the deadly puzzle. Let's go.
Of course I love her. Then why are you doing this? Because I'm trying to save her from making the biggest mistake of her life. You don't know that. Hey, Sophia, I know you're only trying to protect her, but let me tell you about a lesson that I learned when I was a little girl in school. If you hold a bird gently, the bird will stay. But if you squeeze the bird, his eyes will bug out. And Mr. Pet Shop owner gets very happy and he won't let you touch the birds anymore. And the mice, he won't even let you look over the mice. What is 8 times 6? Okay, now that we have...
All right. I think I see a clue. 2 clues, actually.
I think Rose made 2 very good points. 1, not all psychotics are dangerous.
Opium pipe.
2, honey, you have to let go. Dorothy's capable of making her own decisions. Does any of this make any sense to you, Sophia? Not completely. I still think Rose has the capacity to kill. Oh, Rose, sorry, honey, pencils down. I could have used a pencil?
Cool.
Oh, you just look so beautiful. You know, this reminds me of the day I married George. Oh, it was an exquisite wedding. 500 people in that big old church, and I didn't have any underwear on.
Matthew, this looks like a torn out piece of a prisoner's uniform. It must be Fiona's. Perhaps the piece got ripped off in the struggle with the killer. We ought to examine that white substance on it. And I know what this pipe is. Opium smokers use these to inhale the drug's fumes. But well spotted. There appears to be a speck of blood on the pipe. I dare say that cannot be from normal use. You're right. We know Fiona put up a fight as she was strangled. The blood on the pipe could be hers. Let's take a sample. Once more onto the breach, Matthew. We're close to the final answers about Fiona's murder.
Mixed up. Same guest list, same flowers. Handful of rice, handful of dirt. The only difference is after the funeral, it's okay to date.
Alright.
I'm beginning to like her. Me too.
You're gonna have a lot of fun together.
Oh, Dorothy, nobody can replace you. Dorothy, I can't believe it. You're gonna walk down that island and you won't be home.
Hold on, folks. There we go. There was a bit of a problem.
Dorothy, it's always hard to let your children make their own decisions. But even though I worry about you, you always do the right thing. You have my blessing. Oh, Mom. You know, Pussycat,
2.
we never had that mother-daughter talk about sex.
Splendid job, Matthew. Now we have a blood sample from the opium pipe. Let's give it to Viola straight away. It's 9 hours. And I will let this run its course, but we got the torn cloth to do next.
Well, hello there.
Just before I can say goodbye for the time being.
Crunchy, chocolatey dipped cone pieces in creamy peanut butter swirled vanilla ice cream. It's the hoppin' new
Well, that was nice.
cones in your ice cream. Instead of your ice cream.
Matthew, I don't know what that white substance is that you took from Fiona's jail uniform, but Viola will tell us all we need to know.
Deep euphoria and euphoria. Calvin Klein fragrances for her. Receive a scented candle with your purchase from the Euphoria Fragrance Collection at Macy's, your fragrance destination.
And I'll see you guys when these 2 are finished. See y'all then. Okay, folks, we have come back. Let's put a killer behind bars. Matthew, I found 2 distinct blood types in the sample you took from the opium pipe. One of them, type O, is the victim. One of them is the victim's. So Matthew was right. The opium pipe got sprinkled with blood during the struggle between Fiona and her killer. Go on, Viola. What else did you find? The other blood type is AB positive, Matthew. That one must be your killer's. Finally, Matthew, after all the blood Fiona had shed as the Scarlet Slayer, you found the one drop that will condemn her.
Well, I'm seeing that this track is really going to break down tonight. These birds, the top of the birds are breaking away. There's some inside lines these guys can get on the inside of other guys.
Matthew, the substance you sent me is not something I expected to see on a prison uniform. You see, the compound was cornstarch dissolved in water, a combination used to whiten collars. Ah, collars, starching. I'm afraid I'm not well versed in such domestic matters, Viola. Well, even you can imagine, Madeline, that prisoners don't wear starched collars. The mixture must have contaminated the fabric through contact with the killer. So the killer wore an impeccably starched collar while strangling Fiona in the opium den? How prim and proper of them. But soon the killer out to swap their starched collar and elegant attire for the same prison uniform their victim was wearing. Matthew, you have all the evidence now to bring Fiona Flanagan's killer to justice. This will be the final chapter of the Scarlet Slayer's story.
Back to back right here. This one, not sure if Lorena's missed the first triple last time or what. Yeah, now he jumps that secret. So last lap, he got passed by Sabachi. That was a mistake. Through there, and it cost him the lead. Smith really pushing on the backside of Miranda's there. Jordan Smith, Detroit redesigns a Red Bull KTM. There he goes, flying.
Yes. Finley Flanagan, you're under arrest for the murder of your sister, Fiona Flanagan. Do you coppers ever listen to me? Didn't I tell yours that killing family ain't the Flanagan way? You keep repeating that, Finley, but the evidence points to you. Evidence schmevidence. It was Capesci and the Italians, I told you. Hardly. We found your hand cream under Fiona's fingernails and your blood on the crime scene. You think you're smart, ain't it, Senior Trooper Matthew? But you, Miss O'Malley, should be ashamed of yourself, accusing a fellow countryman with crime. Stop lying, Finley. We found the cord you used to strangle your sister. Tell us what she did that made you lose your temper. I never lost my temper with me sister. I strangled her all right, but it was an act of mercy. Fine, you got me good this time, Senior Trooper Matthew. I may as well fess up to what happened. I've always looked after Fiona despite her troubles. I kept an eye on her, gave her a share of the business. She managed the booze gig fine. She had her wilder moments, of course, but I wasn't about to let me own flesh and blood rot in a madhouse. I took better care of her than them head doctors. And yet Fiona became the Scarlet Slayer on your watch. Don't put this one on me. She went off the rails after that friend of hers died is what happened. She took it into her head that she had to save the doves before syphilis got to them. After that, there was no reasoning with Fiona. She started killing them girls and stopped listening to me. When you nicked her, I thought it'd do her good. I thought prison would clear her head. But when she escaped, she came straight for me, raging mad. I couldn't calm her down. I knew she was too far gone this time. I told her 'twas an act of mercy. She was tormented, she was. It was kinder to put an end to her suffering than let her live like that. You've also put an end to your own reign over Sinner's End, Finley. You're under arrest for murder. Senior Trooper Matthew, let it be said I'm not best pleased that you summoned me back out of retirement. But seeing as my successor, the Honorable Judge Lawson, was a witness in the case, I've agreed to preside over this trial. So the defendant is Finley Flanagan, a gangster of Sinner's End, accused of the murder of his sister, Fiona Flanagan. How do you plead? Guilty, Your Honor. I killed Fiona out of duty. Looking after family is the Flanagan way. A strange way to show brotherly love, Mr. Flanagan. Personally, I just bring my sister herbal tea when she's poorly. You shall be sentenced to 25 years in Stonewall Prison. It is an establishment of heightened security for habitual delinquents like yourself. Stonewall Prison? No, Your Honor, you can't send me there. You should have thought of that before, Mr. Flanagan. All rise. Congratulations, Matthew. With one Flanagan dead and the other in prison, we can finally hope for some peace from Sinner's End. Or at the very least some peace in my office without the mayor breathing down my neck about gang violence and serial murderers. Another job well done, Matthew. Senior Trooper Matthew, forgive me for interrupting, but I owe you an apology. My negligence to keep you informed of important facts landed me as a suspect in your investigation. But you cleared my name, for which I'm grateful. Matthew, I think we deserve a small celebration after all this. Sadly, it can involve absinthe, but we can still be merry over a lemonade. We sure can. Take a look at the other ones. Adriana Braziera cleared from the start. Vittorio Capesci also cleared from the start. Justin Lawson, AB positive blood. Instead is his O negative. Catherine Wolf, no collar. It was Finley Flanagan. I'll see you guys for By Hook or By Crook 6-6. Alright folks, we have returned. Let's start By Hook or By Crook 6-6, the additional investigation. Matthew, there's someone here wanting to see you. Senior Trooper Matthew, I popped by to extend my congratulations and my apologies. I always knew you'd solved the mystery of the Scarlet Slayer's murder. Senior Trooper Matthew is the cleverest detective alive, but you also helped us, Catherine. Though it looks like the Flanagan saga still has a final chapter, Matthew, Finley has requested to see you. Finley Flanagan is willing to talk? Senior Trooper Matthew, please, allow me to come with you. Interviewing a gang leader in jail is an opportunity I cannot miss. You can't go wrong with a sidekick like Catherine, Matthew. But before you go, a certain Miss DeParadis would like a word. She says you know her from the Moulin Rose. Did I hear the name of Marla DeParadis? Is she seeking our help? Matthew, we ought to come to her aid post-haste. Miss DeParadis is a delightful individual who suffered great misfortunes in Sinner's End, and I'm quite available to assist her. Sounds like your schedule is full, Matthew. Helping Marla with bond temps, and taking Catherine to see Finley in jail. I'll be around if you need me. Let's talk to Marla DeParadis first. Senior Trooper Matthew, thank you for seeing me. No, thank you, Mr. Paradis. That is to say, always a pleasure to assist you. Kind of you to say, Senior Trooper Matthew, I believe you recall my dearly departed fiancé, Barnaby Wilson. The court has ruled in my favor in the matter of inheritance. Barnaby's left me a considerable sum of money, enough to leave Sinner's End if I wanted to. But after some soul searching, I realized that I don't have to leave Sinner's End to make a change. My new wish is to buy the Moulin Rose and give the ladies of the night a better life as dancers. But I don't know where the Flanagans kept the cabaret's key. By all accounts, Fiona seems to have hidden it somewhere. Do you reckon you can find it for me? It will be an honor to assist in this noble undertaking. Senior Trooper Matthew has uncovered Fiona's secret hiding place. I reckon the key is there. Thank you so much, and please take this donation too. It's what Barnaby would have wanted. Oh.
Back to you, Ralph. All right, Juliana, thank you. At least the sun is setting, Jeff, so we got that to help us out a little bit here. So get ready. The first 450 heat race, and Tomac is in this one. He's on the far right side of the screen. On with baggage to go to that first corner. Yeah, come on. Rocky Mountain WPS right up front. Right down there on the 10. Whoa, here's Wilson with the early lead. Millsaps putting up the inside on him. And Tomac riding around him fifth. Never will take 4 out of here. Wilson trying to
Uh-oh. Oh, there we go. Oh.
back into the stadium. Well, you don't want to be behind anybody coming down Monster Alley there, especially not on the 450. That roost hurts big time.
Matthew, you reckon Fiona hid the Moulin Rose's key in that crate of whiskey? Well, it's true that by the end, her mind was really quite troubled. She might have done anything. Let us work that lock and find out.
Goes to the inside and walks that line. Keeps Tomac from jumping the entire tabletop there. Oh, now let's see. See, the 450s here are going to be taking a different line. Double, triple, and watch says, oh, he messed it up. He went too far. There's a clock at these 450s jump at the end of that rhythm section. They do that by going to the inside.
Excellent work, my friend. The key of the Moulin Rouge is in that crate indeed. Tar Nation, you're right. The end of the key is broken off. It will be no use to Marla like this. You think this is a job for that grifter DeLobo? I take a dim view of the fellow. But you're right, it's about helping a most deserving member of the public. Let us give the key to Diego at once.
He's alongside through the woods. Barge is going to take him high and keep that position. He's playing hard. Past mechanics area. To the finish line jump. Barge messes up that finish line jump one more time. This is going to be frustrating for Tomac.
Senior Trooper Matthew, I'm in a pickle, and you're the only one who can help me. The judge said I'd be sent to Stonewall Prison. But they can't do that. Stonewall Prison be the death of me. The big tough gangster of Sinner's End is afraid of going to jail? What's the story here, Finley? The story, as you put it, is that the Italians are running the place. They cotton on to who I am. I'm toast within a week. You mean the long arm of the Italian familia reaches all the way to running rackets in Stonewall Prison? I admit that piques my interest, Mr. Flanagan, but the police will need proof. I have proof, Senior Trooper Matthew. Just go back to my office and find it. I never thought I'd see the day when a gangster wants the police in their office, but if you insist, let's go, Senior Trooper Matthew. Hold on.
He's had the last 2 weeks. Well, definitely better than last weekend for sure. And he's definitely found his flow once he got into the qualifying position for sure. But he's got to get around team goals in every position counts, especially when it comes to start position for that main event. The start is always going to be in position in arcade. So he needs to do everything he can do to get every spot in this qualifying race.
One moment. Okay.
Axel, get up.
And I apologize on this, folks. I honestly have no idea why my computer is doing this.
7 ingredients. Wonder what they are.
Corrosion
Salt.
Demulsifier.
Fuel detergent number 1.
Fuel detergent number 2.
Anti-adhesion compound. And molecules.
Get better gas mileage with Synergy. Exxon and Mobil. Energy lives
Oh,
here.
great.
Stop now, right?
Got the parcel. Oh.
Looking for this?
Yeah.
Order and track your pizza with Domino's Tracker.
Oh, brother.
UFC 211 prelims on FX. Eddie Alvarez returns to face Dustin Poirier. UFC 211 prelims.
So Finley's claiming the Italian gang exerts some insidious control over Stonewall Prison and that the proof is here. Have you found anything, Senior Trooper Matthew? Of course you have. That parcel was sent to Finley.
Sign up for Credit Karma today.
Can I tell you something? Tonight, I'm
From Stonewall Prison. Let's see what's inside.
instant connections. I heard about Quest, so I gave it a chance. And it's so fun to relax and just be myself. And the best part, it's free to try. Now I know calling Quest is the best way to meet someone.
Excuse me, folks. One moment. Sorry, guys. Computer went out on me. So let's examine the parcel.
Of how to really protect and prevent fires from affecting them through the wildfire threat.
And experts advise all home and landowners to always be fire ready. The Big Island was
message.
See any showers this evening, and even
How
those
shrewd to
who
hide
like
that
the
note under
tomorrow
rocks
could
and
see
moldy
some more
bread.
rain, so let's go to
Whoever sent that parcel from Stonewall Prison wanted to sneak it out without the guards reading it. And I see they wrote the message in Gaelic too. Clearly the center didn't want to risk it falling into the wrong hands.
Slight increase in trade shower activity for the eastern
Good thing we both know a delightful young woman with a talent for languages. Seeing Evelyn again will brighten my day and solve this mystery at once.
As we take a look statewide, not a lot coming in throughout the evening and afternoon hours, but we're starting to see a little bit more moisture just to the
And I do plan to speed this up, and once the key is done, I will speed this up, and we'll see you all then. Folks, we have come back. Let's get the results of the Moulin Rose key from Diego. Mr. DeLobo, have you managed to fix the Moulin Rose's key? Marla de Paradis is waiting for it. What's the rush, Mr. Bontemps? Tell us about this Marla first. Does she hold the key to your heart? This is... Mr. DeLobo, that's important. Mr. Paradis wishes to improve the lives of those poor fallen women. A most noble endeavor, and one that should not be tarnished by your insinuations. Anyway, have you got the key or not? Certainly. Senior Trooper Matthew, your key is as good as new. And don't forget, Mr. Bontemps, there is nothing uncouth about love. I advise you to invite this lady to dinner. You'll thank me later. Well, Matthew, let's just give the key to Marla without further ado. And let's give the key back to Marla.
Will she be okay?
Senior Trooper Matthew, you found the key. I don't know how to thank you. Now I can take over the Moulin Rose and transform Sinner's End from a place of misery and disease to one of joy and glamour. We wish you the best of luck for your new life.
We need to talk to her.
She needs to rest.
Now, Miss Marla, I know it's far too soon, but I just wanted... Mr. Bontemps, are you alright? Yes, I just wish to express my admiration for you, and... That's very sweet of you, Mr. Bontemps. You're a good man, and I hope we meet again. And Senior Trooper Matthew, please have this from me as a keepsake from Sinner's End.
How does the defendant plead?
Not guilty.
Bail argument, Miss Gab?
The people request remand.
Your Honor, these charges are a farce. My client is a...
And I'll go ahead and speed this up.
I'm a servant of God, Your Honor.
Tending to his flock from a beat-up Buick.
Matthew, Catherine, I'm glad to see you. I could use your help with a murder mystery I'm running for Pistols and Petticoats. I got the murder part down, but I'm struggling with the romance. My heroine is supposed to fall in love with a dashing thief, but she seems to only think about her best friend. It's like she has a mind of her own. I don't understand. I can't wait to read about your conflicted heroine, Evie. But first, Senior Trooper Matthew needs to know about this note from Stonewall Prison. Oh, quite right. That was child's play to translate. Matthew, the Gaelic message simply says, Finley, you must rescue me from these Italian devils. So an inmate wrote to Finley because he was afraid of the Italians? That's interesting, but not enough to prove Finley's allegations that the Italians are controlling the prison. However, it's enough to ruffle Vittorio Capesci's feathers and see what he has to say. Let's go.
I've ever been this excited about anything. But you understand that if you decide to keep the baby, you're going to have
And let's see what he has to say.
changes in your life. What are you talking about? Of course.
Mr. Capesci, what do you know about Stonewall Prison? Prison? Not a place I like to think about, Senior Trooper Matthew. Can't you propose a conversation about food, wine, and beautiful women for once? I share your passion for all of those things, Mr. Capesci. But back to the prisons, we have proof that an Irish inmate claimed the Italians are running the place. Finley gave you that, didn't he? Senior Trooper Matthew, you've arrested him for murder, and still you believe him and not me? The Tizia. The Italians have no interest in prisons, if I say so myself. We seek the joy in life, unlike the Irish.
Shauna, I'm
Now please leave me, Senior Trooper Matthew. After these recent difficult times, I have decided on a holiday. I had to pack. Arrivederci. Well, interviewing monsters is more difficult than I had thought. If Capesci knows anything, he'll never admit to it. You reckon another look at Finley's office wouldn't go amiss? Let's go then. But let's eat something first. Talking to Vittorio has made me ravenous.
To get your do-goody asses out of here.
Can I do good ask out another cup?
What are the odds that this baby lives a normal life?
Define normal.
Maybe Gladys will turn her life around.
In my opinion, that baby's only chance is if she gives it up for adoption.
At least we call it the bastard.
Counts as a win.
Not so fast. Upon further review, Judge Maskin rejected your lineup identification.
Why?
She's ordered a Wade hearing, so Gladys can make an official witness ID of Skaggs before we go to trial.
Aha.
Like was petrified with him behind glass. What is she gonna do when he's glaring at her in the courtroom?
I know, but if Gladys screws this up, we don't have anything that connects Skaggs to the murders.
So he walks and kills again.
Which is why I need you to become Gladys's new best friend. Gladys isn't here.
You have any idea when she'll be back?
Not anytime soon.
Did you kick a pregnant girl out on the street?
You get every chance at a normal life.
You gave her a lousy sofa to sleep on as long as she could pay your rent.
I got 2 kids of my own. Alright, disability doesn't make ends meet. How am I supposed to pay for her and a baby?
Not by abandoning her.
Look, that girl makes her own decisions. Alright, and she started when she got
Senior Trooper Matthew, that paper looks like a court document, and the case seems to be about Stonewall Prison. We're on the right track. Let's see what the rest of the writing
That's what
says.
pimps do to young girls. Make them so dependent that they never have a chance. Shauna, Gladys has one now, here with you. But only if you help her. I love her. I do.
But I was at the point where I threw her out. I told her to be anywhere but here.
There we go.
I didn't ask. Right before she left, she was on her computer.
Senior Trooper Matthew, this document proves that there has already been allegations related to the Italian mob's control of Stonewall Prison. Only the case is dismissed by the court for lack of evidence. But you're right, the verdict was signed by Judge Takakura. He might be willing to tell us more while he's still in town.
Dates in Red Oak.
Alright.
More sunshine. The girl that you ordered on Craigslist.
And let's talk to Takakura. Senior Trooper Matthew, I'm not trying another case, if that's what you're here for. I'm ready to retire to the Bahamas. We're here to ask you about an old case, Mr. Takakura, the one about the Italian mob's influence in Stonewall Prison. Ah, that. Yes, I remember. The prosecution didn't have enough evidence against the Italians. Between us, Senior Trooper Matthew, Vittorio Capesci may have greased a few palms among the police. You know only too well corruption was rife until you cleaned things up. But if you want to reopen the case, you'll need solid proof, not just a few inmates complaining of bad treatment. It's a prison after all, not a bed of roses. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to pack my suitcase. Don't take it personally, but I hope to never hear from you again. Matthew, the higher-ups are very pleased with your work in Sinner's End. You've jailed a notorious gang leader, and prior to that, caught a serial murderer. You've restored the peaceful lives of many citizens. The Irish gang is now leaderless, and I don't suppose we'll hear from them anytime soon. But you've learned some disturbing things about their new rivals, the Italians. The Irish claim that the Italians exert undue influence in Stonewall Prison, but nothing has been proven so far, so I'm not sure how much we can believe it. It would be a scandal if proven true, so the mayor wants answers, and Finley Flanagan will have to remain in our holding cells until we've made sure the prison is free of Italian influence. I have already obtained our clearances to investigate the premises. We're going to Coyote Gorge. Coyote Gorge? That's in the Wild East. How exciting! Horses, cowboys, gold mines, here we come. Matthew, the Manmobile is ready. Let's go.
In the largest heart failure study ever, Entresto helped more people stay alive and out of the hospital than a leading heart
So we're going to Coyote Gorge next.
Do not take Entresto. It can cause harm or death to an unborn baby. Don't take Entresto with an ACE inhibitor or Aliskir. If you've had angioedema while taking an ACE or ARB medicine, don't take Entresto. The most serious side effects are angioedema, low blood pressure, kidney problems, or high potassium in your blood.
6 new cases. May 11th. And I'm gonna be done with school this week for the summer, for the spring anyway. Four new ones. So we got to see Takakura for at least one more case. We'll see you guys then. So that's gonna do it. I'll see you guys for May 11th.